Yo, let's get it. He's so veiny. He's so veiny. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Sunday night, phobie night. It's time for some viewer games, and as always, we have a whole lot to get through, so let's jump into it. And before we actually get into everything, you know the drill. As always, I have to let you know that I am part of the content affiliate program. That means that the Phobies team does, in fact, give me in-game coffee for producing Phobies content. But now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the games that our viewers have submitted. What's going on, chat? I'll be honest, I am exhausted. I almost called off the stream tonight. I almost called off the stream because I literally got, I think, 2 hours of sleep. And that's with daylight savings time. So, it's not good. It's certainly not great, chat. I have not been enjoying my sleep schedule. Let's put it that way. Unfortunately, my sleep schedule has been disastrous, and I'm not a fan. So, we'll be jumping through some games, or jumping into some games. We'll see how things go. And we do have a variety, although there are a lot of dupes in here, so we'll see how many unique ones we get through. But we'll lead the night off with Potenzia. Game number 1 is Potenzia 2 on This Might Sting a Little, using Brony to punish a heart invade. Now, we've talked about this on this map on a few different occasions before, where this map does, oddly enough, lend itself to a heart push. Now, we've discovered over time that a lot of these maps, the reason that the hard push is viable is because realistically you get a lot of surface area up here as the aggressor. As the defender, this sometimes you can set up a good defense because of course you have the stim, you could send a flyer over here, but then you very quickly run out of surface area. You know, maybe you get a lobber here, but it can be very challenging to actually deflect the push, because there just isn't enough room to really set up a good defense. Now, our hero here did bring out an early Gravedigger, only the Murder Wing contesting points, though, and we have an early Alistor from Bad Guy. We're looking at... Ooh, this is all at level 1, actually. This must be a friendly game. This must be an actual frenemies game. Now, notably, Bad Guy elected to not claim this point, and I'm not really sure why, to be honest. I mean, yeah, they could burn the yoink or something, but I think I'd rather get the pressure. The droney has kind of run its course at this stage, unless maybe you're going to use it to cap this, but Bachelor is likely to go in. I'm not really sure why the droney wasn't sacrificed here, but it wasn't, and I guess it's fine to hold it. You can now cap this point much more safely. Octonauty opposing the hero's yoinks here. Not quite enough damage between all of this, I don't think, to kill this Daisy. Because you'd get 250, 200, 450, plus another 450. That actually could have been a dead Daisy, but you probably lose the spider in retaliation, because you could set up the yoink such that the spider ends up here. And also, of course, it would have ended up likely taking some lava damage anyway. Actually, no, you would have been up here. You probably end up losing the spider. I'd have to go back and count, but we got more important things to worry about. Get a quick pick down here, banking up to 12. Still panic point advantage. Bad Guy putting some pressure on. Not an insignificant amount of damage on the heart. And with the yoink down, there is a brief window for our orange player here to try and make something happen. Oh, I'm telling you, chat, I just, like, I don't know what it is. I just can't. I've been having, like, horrendous insomnia. How's that for a phobie? The insomnia phobie. So we get a cute block here. This, of course, allows for the panic point take here. The Alistor can fly over, but clearly it's not going to risk it. And Brony here to supplement things. There isn't quite enough damage, is there? So you can get a yoink. And let's see what bad guy does, because I feel like you can possibly get this. Like, depending on what you want to yoink with the Octonauty, you either get a hit off this stim, or you come down here, yoink the spider, and then blow it up like this. Yeah, I don't know, bad guy. I think you kind of needed to kill the Brony. Obviously, the spider's very tempting, but, like, look at this. Look at this right now. Literally everything. You're going to Brony everything. Other than your own stuff, of course. Their whole team is powered down now. You can get a boop, but that doesn't really get you anywhere. And yeah, there's pressure, but now, even though you're under half health for the heart, and barely at that, you just... They have to run away. They have to run away. You can pursue them, continue to pressure. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 phobies on the board. So they can put something else out to help supplement if you, like, really dive. But I guess they want their 7th phobie to be creep? I don't... What? Why? Why are you doing this? Well, the Bachelor dies to poison, so once again, freed up slot, 8 keys available, but still. Being very aggressive about this. Potenzia getting all up on bad guy, getting in their face right there. But the panic points now flip in favor of our hero. Snowball supplementing the forces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phobies. Maxed out, though. Maxed out. 8 keys, 8 keys. Get a little boop action here for a quick takedown. The silent takedown. Poison whittling away at the health pool for Klopster and Daisy here. I'm not going to lie, I don't think high five is the answer. I do not believe high five is the answer. Takedown on Klopster. I don't know if our hero is going to stay. It looks like they are going to stay in. Probably a meatball and retreat to allow the cassowary to get in. Yep. That's probably 6 keys for, what was it, 10? And then Ogre. I guess... Is it 3,000 health it has to be at? We're getting there, 3325. And the Ogre's likely to activate. But so is the Noxious and the Brony, and I think bad guy's in a world of hurt at this stage. Brony is so crippling, and we've talked about it a lot recently. But it still kind of feels as though Brony is just not as widely respected as it probably deserves. 4-1 panic point, bad guy just... There's not a whole lot they can do at this point. They have to commit in. These two are basically dead. Got this Alistor here, and High Five are going to try and hold down the fort, but That's a juiced up ogre right there. I'm pretty sure this can spit again, which means it hits both of these. Or we're just going to kill the daisy. Take down the octonauty. You do get a trade here, but quite clearly, bad guy has to commit in a way that's not going to be very comfortable for them. We get the conga line to the heart. Yeah, that brony hit was incredible, and I don't know if bad guy just didn't respect it. They're like, well, whatever, I'm way ahead. I'll just get bronied and then stabilize. It's like, well, no, you won't. No, you won't. Notably, the ogre is still not activated. I have to fly the boom all the way over here, or move the boom all the way over here, just so it doesn't get capped by the brony. So now High Five is relegated to panic point duty. Which admittedly, 4-1 here, but now you've activated my ogre card. Yo, let's get it. He's so veiny. He's so veiny. All right, Karst on Coulrophobia. Hopeboy shuts down the early heart rush, and we end up in another interesting tango featuring Glob, Paddles, and Cupcake. Now, chat, I have been crapping on Coulrophobia basically since it was released. However, I've been told on multiple occasions this is actually a very interesting map, a very engaging map, and I'm very curious to see what Karst and Hopeboy have in store, because Karst here did not do what most people do, which is just beeline a turret to the other stem, or your stem, or whatever, the appropriate stem. In this case, it was one key into Hevo. Now, admittedly, it's up against Hopeboy, so there's always going to be some other level that you can discuss this on, some other plane that we can review this, because the fact of the matter is Hopeboy has an enormous level advantage on pretty much everyone in the game. So, how much of a level advantage? Because Karst is not a low-stress level player. This is a level 18 Hevo. This is a level 25 Inoculus. That is a lot of damage. So we'll see how Karst responds here. Or rather, how Hopeboy responds to Karst's offensive. Because this Inoculus is not safe here. It can get a shot here. But you need to block these two spots in order to prevent something horrendous happening. Which it looks like Hopeboy is going to go for. However, yeah, you can't... Well, you could kill the Gravedigger. Like, you could get there, but that's going to require a lot of effort. It's probably just hit and walk away. All right, we're going to kill the cat, which allows the connection here. Is this enough? This can't be enough. Actually, the 3 is probably enough. The 3 is, in fact, enough. This is the play that I was thinking was going to be made, and in my brain, I'm like, oh, well, they can't get through this wall, but I think I just assumed that Hopeboy had too much HP, and clearly they did not. I think that's a safe assumption a lot of the time. It's like, oh, well, it's Hopeboy. They just have 1 billion HP, because, for example, how big was that cat? A cat had over 1,000 health. Not quite enough, though. Not quite enough. Maybe a boomer would have done it. Now, that does not mean that Hopeboy's out of it. Obviously, some retaliation kills here. Things are taking lava damage. But tempo advantage Karst here. That is a big deal. Even though there is a significant level disparity, you do get a big advantage positionally from all of this. And there's the glob. We've seen a lot of globs lately, whether it was in Fright Night, it has more recently been in Monster of the Week, which, by the way, if you're not sure what that is, hit up the Random Slots Discord. We have started our weekly tournament series. Cupcake. This is interesting. I'm not real sure where we're going with this, to be honest. I mean, the Spud can put a hurt on here, because this is baseline almost 600 damage off a Spud, and then voila, 462 damage added to it. That's a dead Hevo if Karst neglects to move it, but let's be real, Karst is going to move it. Take your free hit, walk away, glob and obstacle protecting you for now. I didn't drink nearly enough water today, chat. That's not really helping the exhaustion. The dehydration is definitely taking its toll. Get a little cupcake, or muffin rather. We already have the cupcake. So you do see on the muffin animation, if I recall correctly, that it does open its mouth to eat itself. And I saw Cupcake do something similar, but I didn't see a mouth open up. It just kind of looked like it stuffed it, like jammed it inside its cheek, which I don't know if that's more or less horrifying, to be perfectly honest. Chat, we're about to witness a walk the glob, potentially, in our future. Panic point advantage swapped back to Hoploid. 3 keys to 1 remaining, but this Hevo does present somewhat of an issue for, you know, a whole glob plan. Down goes Gravedigger, freeing up the final slot for Hoploid. Glob can get onto this. I don't know that... Huh. So this is almost 4k health. 3848. And it's doing 1500. I think there's a world in which you could have walked the glob this turn. Because it was here, so it would have gone 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, you can't reach. Never mind. Never mind, because the glob was where creep was. If you could walk the glob onto that Hevo, I think it was possible to deal with it right then. We get to push out, taking down Gravedigger. But yes, chat called it Finnegan. Actually a decent response to glob. We've seen it utilized a few other occasions, or on a few other occasions. Because you can't glob here safely, you're just going to get booped off. And then for freezies, they get damage, they free their guy. Well, I guess it's not for freezies, you are taking 1500 damage. But the glob claims its first victim. No fear here, and understandably so, because you have the Finnegan in order to ensure that you can free up the Hevo. Now, this Hevo is in danger of death. So 2-to-1 panic point advantage. The bakery is right. You know, I've had Cupcake as the thumbnail before. See, like, Cupcake is eating here, but I didn't see it open its mouth. Does it have a mouth? Also, look at Hevo 2.0. I don't think I've ever seen it do the sad face. Does it do this every time it takes damage? And it just happens so fast? Like, look at this. That's awesome. It's the little details. I forgot what the hell I was going to say, chat. I was going to make some other point about, like, whatever the next sequence of plays was, but I totally forgot. Only happens when it gets eaten by glob and frozen. Fair. Like, this doesn't seem like a spectacular invade. Wait, really? I don't know about that. Okay, so Bachelor blocking the instant boop. Yes, but Could you not, like, you could have just killed the glob anyway. I guess this is better because then you get the Bachelor. Like, if you put all the damage onto the glob, you're not... Wait. How much health did it have? How did you not just kill this? So you cupcake onto Spud. So, like, you could Spud, Finnegan, kill it. And you Spud twice, Finnegan, kill it. Then Hevo's still here. Does 1,200. So you can't kill this. I guess this is fine. I guess this is fine. How did that happen, though? Like... I feel as though you don't care about killing the Bachelor? This is at 1,800. So this is 1,000. I think the priority has to be killing the paddles because of the electrical damage. But maybe this is fine because you don't... Like, the paddles is way more dangerous to your Hevo than the Bachelor. So I think if you sequence this differently, you leave the... As Hoploy, I'm saying. You leave the Bachelor on the board and kill the paddles. This only has 1,000 health. 1,036. Like, you clearly kill it, and then I don't think Karst can kill your Hevo. Because at this point, you're down to these two phobies, and, like, that's just not enough. Also, I would have booped that away. Although, you can't poison this turn, so I guess it doesn't matter. I think that was a misplay. I don't know. Am I wrong, chat? Do you think what Hoploy actually did is a better line than what I'm thinking? Maybe you can't. Maybe, like, the math doesn't work out. I was rounding the numbers, but... It feels like it was an option. Karst is right. This is going to be a very interesting dance at the end of this game because there is a heart health advantage in Hoploy's favor. I think there was a better way to do it. It feels like there had to be. For a second, I thought this was 2.0 again, and I don't know why. Down goes Spud. And at this point, it looks like a surrender came in. More than enough health for Karst to survive and not enough damage for Hoploy to actually take it down. GG. Probably has more HP than most 2.0s. That may be fair. That may be realistic. But yeah, that one turn, I mean, obviously everything came down to that one turn, right? I think Karst had a good play in the beginning to get some picks, to set up the tempo for later on. But you can see that I think it's worth pointing this out. First of all, GG Karst. Second of all, I think it's worth pointing out, and I'll put this in the aftermath section whenever I end the games, but I think it's worth pointing out that you can win despite the level disparity, but it requires at least 2 errors here on Hoploy's part. One of which in the beginning of the game, like that Innocuous invade, and maybe the response from Hoploy after the Innocuous takedown. So Hoploy's Innocuous got sniped by Karst. Maybe Hoploy's response wasn't good enough and therefore was a third mistake. So not only do you lose the Innocuous, you don't punish properly. And when you don't punish properly, that gives your opponent a chance now this many turns later in the game. On the flip side, you could look at it as Hoploy only needed to not mess up one more time and they take this game. Another indictment of the leveling system, in my opinion. I mean, not that anybody is looking to defend it, but like, come on, this is not good, right? I mean, definitely I don't want to take anything away from Karst, but like, those were some relatively egregious mistakes, in my opinion. And good on Karst for being able to capitalize on it, but it is something that I think people can use as a takeaway. Yes, it is possible to beat levels, and we've beaten this drum many times. But you really need your opponent to cooperate in order to make it happen. But either way, GG. I changed the transition, chat, and I might have to change it back because it's like taking forever to actually swap the scene for some reason, and I don't know why. Some misspelling in the title. Okay. Yes. Dino Nuggy coming at you. Oh, God, we're back on coulrophobia, apparently. Decided to get some more points for the Undead event, and it worked out pretty well. All right. Yeah, speaking of misspellings, I didn't get to do a whole lot in this event, chat. I'm kind of disappointed. I was very excited for it, and I just realistically didn't have time. But that's what happens. What are you going to do? Ooh, we get an early block by Dino Nuggy here. I don't know if I love this play. It's unlikely that bad guy with 4 keys here can actually kill this. I guess it's not impossible. Coulrophobia versus the Once Lore, which is worse? I would say the Once Lore because the games tend to take longer. So it's still probably... Well, I take that back. It's not the same amount of stupidity. Because I think it's proportionally the same. Even though it's spread out across a longer game. So in total, in sum, there's more stupid that happens on the Once Lore that's just like super boring. And I really do want to believe everybody who says that interesting things happen on Coulrophobia. We did see an interesting game in the one we just witnessed, and we're already getting some weird stuff going on in this one. I'm going with the Once Lore as well. I could see people making arguments for Coulrophobia, though. Every time that I say Coulrophobia is bad, somebody is there to say it's actually not that bad. You can counter just turret spam, and turbo turrets is not necessarily the appropriate play. I've had enough people that I believe, like I'm willing to believe them when they say things about the game. I can't believe this happened twice. I mean, I can. But this is very silly. This is very silly. Point is that I've had enough people that I am willing to trust on this subject that there is another way for this to happen. So panic point advantage, but bad guy does not have any turrets. Notably, chat, now, even during the undead event, you could have gone walk the turret, or turbo turrets, or however you want to look at it, on this map with undead. It could have been snappy, it could have been bad side, and you could have stuck them on the stim. So yeah, we're going to see a dead murder wing here. And I guess we're going to... No, we're going to roll Unbearable to the center. I guess. Take down on Cassowary, and all of a sudden, bad guys' forces are blunted. Now, our hero doesn't have the Unbearable in range, and honestly, I would have liked to have seen the Unbearable roll to the top panic point, so that way next turn it could get on the stim. You want a Heart Rush with Chuck on this map? That sounds bold. Misanthrope! And apparently Gesundheit, because why not? I don't... Like, we don't have anything there to Gesundheit. I'm sure. Snappy on the stim pad sounds scary, not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds very difficult to dislodge. It sounds difficult to dislodge. And I could see somebody doing it going second. You just slam Snappy and march it across the board. I mean, maybe Disease is better than has a response, or even Poison for that matter, but... I don't think that's what you want to do, bad guy. I don't think that's what you want to do. I guess with this body blocking, but it feels like you hit this once, you erratic to pull it in, erratic again, you obviously lose the jar down here. Like, this is dead. You may, if they kill Primate here, and it's possible because you can walk the Cassowary back too. Chat, is bad guy every dum-dum in a zombie movie? Have you ever seen a zombie movie and then it's just like, what are you doing? Obviously there are zombies there. First of all, no one in every zombie movie universe, no one has seen a zombie movie, which is fascinating when you think about it. Like, I get it's for the movie, but if you have an alien invasion movie, it's like, okay, well, you don't know, like, you don't know what the aliens are capable of, you don't know what their tactics are, but if you've ever seen a zombie movie, you have a pretty good idea of what zombies can do, unless all of a sudden they, you know, they're super zombies, because every once in a while there's one of those. But, like, one of the first rules is don't get into tight corners with zombies, and I guess that includes if you're a zombie. Primate found that out firsthand. And Bachelor's keeping some weird friends. Hero still with 3 keys. I think Honey Bear and then try to fight it, perhaps die would also be useful even as a single use. What, into the Snappy plan? I guess. I love the side tangent. There's always tangents. There's always digressions. Welcome to Random's Thoughts 2023. Or ever. Hence, Random's Thoughts. GG, Dino Nuggy. Well played. The zombie horde that is Dino Nuggy. Alright, hi, Georgie. I want to marry Oculus? You sure? Now, be good in the comments, chat, because I don't know where we're going with this one. But we are here. I do know we're going to questionable decision land. Okay, so I really don't like this here. Well, hold on. If this kills this, is that a worthwhile trade? Like, if it... 520. Okay, so what I was thinking could happen here is you leap, and then you kill it with the droney. So you kill this for free. Then, obviously, you walk this away. And then you supplement it with something to then discourage the invade here. But yeah, this is fairly low stress level. Bad guy's electing to just get the hell out of there. Actually, with a repeller getting added, I guess, and then the reposition to avoid the creep vomit. So this is a fairly fragile orange team into an Eternal Night, which we... Honestly, chat, I know, DT, you were kind of the Eternal Night person early on. And I do still respect Eternal Night. It just doesn't make an appearance very regularly. Blinky. You know, I don't hate it. That actually one-shot the Eternal Night. But yeah, you can't stay here with this, this cassowary. Well, you can't come in because you're not going to kill it. You'll end up just losing it for free. I mean, you could leap and walk away like we were talking about before. This droney... Why? I guess the droney... Ah, the droney tanks the lava. Alright, that's fine. Because we got the aggressive take here on our hero's pocket panic point. And then we got the Innocuous. So, yeah. Innocuous is ridiculous. I think Innocuous is fair. I could stand for a slight HP nerf, I think. Boop. Our hero... Were they caught sleeping? So this is a dead repeller, depending on how bad guy reacts. And if our hero wants it. And they may not, only because there are a lot of things to collapse on everything else. Yeah, it looks like they're not going for it. You could have walked up the cassowary, unless leap is on cooldown. So you could leap, roll this forward, hit here. And then you get, I'm assuming no snowball, so it'd be like 5, 10, 15... 16, 17, 18, 19, we'll say. And then Jar kills it. And then you retaliate and kill one thing with this. Like, this could be an exchange that favors our hero depending on their follow-up, but they elected to play it more safely. Eternal Night is one of those phobies where you know that it's useful, but you never really end up using it. It's kind of like me with Kerbloom. I think Kerbloom probably takes more effort to get things to materialize. Presumably for obvious reasons. Whereas Eternal Night relies on your opponent making a mistake, and I think past a certain point, you just have to assume that your opponent's not going to make the obvious misplay. But the fact that it influences your opponent's sequencing at all, then require, you know, like, that means something. Alright, this is interesting. Can you kill this ray? Wait, what? I mean... Tentacles! It's a different kind of tentacles. It's not Innocuous tentacles. It's flesh crawler. So I was actually thinking about the flesh crawler on the stim, which is kind of cute. I thought they were like... I guess Ray's a better target, right? It's actually even after all of that. Hilariously enough, the droney tanks this. So I don't know that this is worth it. Because I think like a droney hit in lava will kill this for free, but maybe it doesn't matter. Hevo 2.0 coming down. Bad guys wishing they still had the tentacles. I'm not gonna lie, this does not seem great for our hero. I guess it depends on how this plays out. Alright, this turn was not good for bad guy. It feels like there could have been a significantly better turn. Also, notably, the Contortio lives. Lol. None of these turns feel good. I'm sure people out there have had these scenarios, whether it's in Phobies or other games you played, where it's like competitive games we're talking about, where it's you're forced into a situation and you have to do something that's really awkward. It just isn't an optimal play. It's not what you would do if you had any other option, but you just kind of get stuck with it. And it feels like these last 3 turns were that, where I just feel like there were so many different things that should have happened, and yet none of them did. Also, I don't know how we ended up in this board state, and bad guy thought that this was good. Wait, you're not going to... I guess the plan here is to save the fart explosion for something. But I would have thought you go and fart explosion these two. You could assume that they have Muffin, or they just walk away to here, but that means that they're not attacking with it. And the last phobie is Boo Fairy? Yeah, Moffat can walk to the spa, but then you don't have the damage, really, to kill this. Like, I don't think there's enough damage here to do it otherwise, with only 2 keys, because their cassowary's already... Their cassowary is already down, although that couldn't reach either. I don't think there's anything with 2 keys that can reach this spot. So, like, if this walks away to go heal, your sheep lives. Because they wouldn't have enough damage. I guess this could walk down and tentacle. Maybe there's enough damage with that. Well, Droney's also dead. That's why I was saying that it wouldn't reach. We'll say 8. 6 is 14. So with tentacles, it would die, but tentacles means that this is here. So you would hit it once with this, once with this. Like, there's a combination of things, and this would be in range, as it is now. I mean, maybe this is better? I don't know. Like I said, on these last several turns, it felt like there was a lot of different things, or things that could have gone differently. Because as it is, you end up losing the sheep anyway, but you would have pulled them out of position with the other sequence. Admittedly, now, like, they can't come in with the flesh crawler anyway. They're just dead. And our hero's slowly picking them apart. I mean, we do get a big tentacles play here. Even pushing Boo Fairy into the lava. But I mean, I don't think bad... Like, well, you might not have enough damage. You're going to have to... I mean, we know our hero wins, so... They obviously have enough damage. But I think you focus this down, as we're seeing. The boop onto the lava to get the last bit of damage. Well played. Well played. And then obviously mechs don't care about poison. Although our heroes team taking an absolute beating. Panic point advantage is blue, so there is a world in which you can just simply retreat. Maybe it's not this reality, but there is one. Ooh, just standing firm. Ow! At 1,000 health a hit, that heart's not lasting very long. Doesn't have to last very long. So I guess you stand your ground? Stand your ground and then move Innocuous here? Okay, never mind. They're backing out. Yeah, and at this stage, our orange player's kind of backed into a figurative corner because you need to engage this, but you can't. Huh. Okay. Are there any phobies with both passive and active abilities? The only one I can think of is Sucky. I guess. That may be true. That may be the only one. We even get the Boo Fairy power down, because why not? Oh, that's got to be so frustrating as bad guy. That's got to be tilting as hell. Wow. Wow. All right. GG. GG, Georgie. Yeah, a lot of that game felt really clunky. Most of that game felt incredibly clunky. It felt like a lot of those turns could have been done differently. I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it at that. I don't know if it's worth calling out every single thing that could have been corrected. But either way, GG. All right, calling all the way back to the first round of Swiss in Fright Night number 10. Master Dark, our hero here. My first game, of Swiss in Fright Night 10. If only all the other games happen that way. All right, let's see. We're here on Locker Room Funk, which didn't get picked all that much from the games that I saw. I kind of like this map, and we did see a cool strat on stream the other night with Walk the Glob on this map as a threat. And it is kind of a very fight in a closet feel. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be very close to the other player by definition, the way this map works. So I kind of like the idea. I wasn't super enthusiastic initially. Ooh, we get a bank to 9. No aggression out of Master Dark here. I was almost expecting that to try and pick maybe the cowbell, but of course you probably lose both on the counterattack, so not likely worth it. But instead, we're getting a push by Set and a Blasto. There's phobies with fire that have active abilities like Fire Ant, Boss, and Furnace Face. Would you say that... Wait, Furnace Face puts fire on the tiles? And yeah, Boss, you could say, has a passive ability for fire. Well, does Fire Ant apply it on its regular attack? It does, doesn't it? So yeah, I guess those would meet that criteria then. So there's a number of phobies in that case that have active and passive abilities simultaneously. So we talked about this before. Master Dark kind of has a thing for Ice Cream. And I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it. But as DT is pointing out, Ice Cream into Blasto is, in fact, a bold move, Cotton. But Master Dark just kind of doing Master Dark things. It's happening. And just check the collection. I think Sucky is the only one with a passive and active ability excluding fire and electricity. All right, now we're getting more and more specific to try and make Sucky the winner here. Attractor, the next phobie out of set. 8 keys for Master Dark. Huh. This will not one-shot it. That's kind of notable. Because, I mean, you could move this up and then body block with Henrietta. So that, like, move up and Blom. We'll see where Master Dark ends their turn, but, like, this could be a bait just to invite it in so you can freeze it. And then, obviously, the Erratic comes in and cleans up. Nope. Set doesn't want any part of it. If you had... So, Master Dark has 5 keys. Yeah, the Henrietta wouldn't be a sufficient body block because you could kill it with just this. Actually, no, wait, 440. Yes, you could. You could kill it with just the jar, freeze, hit, move in, leap, and then you walk up Erratic, and then suddenly it's a dead Blasto. Honestly, I kind of like Repeller more than Attractor here a lot of the time. It just feels like it's way easier to just forever boop them into an uncomfortable position than get stuff set up for Attractor. I'm sure it's not impossible. Attractor's just too powerful, but I've had a lot of success personally with Repeller on this map. The poison is almost negligible in most cases. We're not talking about an enormous amount of poison here. Remember, this is from Fright Nights. Everything's level 1 at this point. But we do, in fact, get multiple quadrupods. Attractor and Repeller. I don't really know what blue is doing. I mean, I get it. The chain. Power down Erratic a little bit. But, I don't know. I do love the Woolly Bully. Just because we don't see it very often, so it's kind of cool. Boop. This might be a dead Repeller. It's not. The Repeller's gonna live despite being paper thin. This still kind of feels like Set's game to lose. This kind of feels like Set's game to lose at this stage, but we'll see how Master Dark responds here. Honestly, I wouldn't hate the Attractor pull, depending on what you can set up. Maybe you can't, because you're not going to kill the Erratic and the Woolly. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to present enough of a defense. Because they're going to power down the Blasto or something, and then all of a sudden you're in deep doo-doo. I don't think allowing this to happen was worth it. Given that the Cassowary Leap was down... I guess you can't. No, you can't, because the... You have to kill the Cassowary, because if you don't, it just walks up and kills the Repeller. And then now you pick the Repeller anyway. The blue doesn't feel great here either, because you clearly wanted it to activate on the Erratic, but I don't know that you're ever going to get that. Alright, you get the counter takedown on the jar. The pull into the Blom. Blom. But not enough damage yet. Wait, really? That had to be running out of time, right? This only acted once. Admittedly, there wasn't much you could do, but you could, like... So you move the Henrietta here, you pull this back, you walk the... You move Henrietta out of the way, you walk a tractor back just so they have to move. You walk Blue up to power both of these down, and then get Henrietta off the poison, or you attack something. Like, there's a better setup here. There has to be. There's no way this is the like you end turn and let them just slap this. Like, this did only act once, right? I'm not imagining things. Wait, what? Okay. Alright, that's fine. Notably, the Clinico body blocks out the blue. Although I guess the blue is, it's going to get connected anyway. Sock ass in the final phobie. I don't know if I'd put it there. Power down to 90 and 100. Alright, so this will live through all of this. Does Master Dark just walk away here? Or is there just not enough damage from Set at this point? I think Set can't ever close the distance now because Ice Scream is now a threat. You can't advance with the Blasto. You're gonna get frozen and then the game is just over. Very well played. Very well played. Here's the thing. Talking level 1s, I agree with the initial statement that DT had made. Like, it's kind of wild that, like, why would you put a pretty fragile mechanical phobie on the board into Blastomatic? Of course, it also has a Blom to set up other terrible scenarios. But you can't one-shot it with Blasto at level 1. On ladder, yeah, all bets are off. You might be able to just snipe whatever you feel like. But here, not quite enough, and the over-aggression, I think, from Set, which allowed ultimately for the takedown on the Repeller, led towards this end state where slowly Master Dark was able to just push in and then put Set in a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. But very well played. This was very well played, and again, with some unique phobie choices, even though it's on this kind of oddball map of Locker Room Funk. GG. Could you explain to me why? For what? What DT was asking about the Blasto? I mean, exactly what we were just saying. Blasto is an electrical phobie, not mech. I mean, it is a mech, but it's an electrical phobie. And Ice Scream is a very fragile mech. So hypothetically, you just brutalize the Ice Scream. However, that never materialized because of the breakpoints like we were talking about. It wasn't going to get one shot unless the Attractor or Repeller or something supported. And maybe it would have been better instead of the Repeller to have a Jar, because then it's more mobile. Part of the vulnerability of the Repeller is that, yeah, it's a 3-ranger, but it also couldn't ever really disengage once it got far enough up. And I think if the Repeller and Attractor had actually been flipped, that it may have been better off in the end for Set. Now, admittedly, then maybe Master Dark just sends everything to the top instead of tucking it into the bottom corner. But if wishes were fishes. I thought that with freezing, it was a counter to Blasto. I don't know that it is. However, Set did not leave the option for their own... like, imagine if they didn't have blue, or if they had let Henrietta die sooner. They would have had 3 keys available and could have popped out, say, a snowball to unfreeze the Blasto, and then pushed more aggressively. But yeah, as DT's pointing out, Freeze is very good against Blasto if they can't use fire, which there wasn't the opportunity to really do that given the setup that was on the board. So it was a confluence of several different factors that led to it actually working out. Lord Shinrax. You may have seen Shinra, or Lord Shinra X, I don't know. But I do know we're here on crypto because everybody hates me. They just want to make my life miserable. So they crypto. Shinra is saying, my first game submission, I wanted to start it out with a bang. Up here against Claws, another regular in the bad guy column. An oddball opener from Claws. I'm interested to see where this goes. Our hero, Shinra, however, starting with a more standard Gravedigger 1-key opener. This map is back. It was back briefly, but I didn't see if this was an async game, which is also possible. Because even if the map rotates out, if you have a game started on that map, it'll keep going. Getting the quick pick on the 1-key here, which feels sort of lazy by Claws. However, because Claws already has Numbskull and can do the same thing, maybe doesn't make a difference. However, the Numbskull actually doesn't die to solely the Murder Wing, but it doesn't matter because Gravedigger's right here. Pop goes the cat. Really? Not claiming back the middle point with the Numbskull. Different plan in mind for bad guy here. So we commonly see Bombs show up on this map, and since I have Goon now, I'm in that club as well. I'm going to try and force that on these maps. This was clearly during the Undead event. I mean, like, come on. Quite obviously during the Undead event. Get a little innocuous action. This is more standard. I would have liked to have seen... Well, actually, you can't leave the Murder Wing here because Murder Wing and Creep probably kill it. Although then you could punish it, so maybe it would have been worth leaving the Murder Wing in order to bait Claws in. So if they come in, you kill their stuff. If they don't come in, that means that you still have the Murder Wing on the stem in order to ensure that this is a dead Numbskull. Although, you're doing it anyway, so what does it matter? 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And we get the replace here. So I am curious, chat, where the earth-shattering kaboom happens in this game. Shout out to my Marvin the Martian fans. Because this is looking like a very standard crypto game when you don't have bombs or like any of the cool stuff that also caused this to be very stalematey. Instead, we get a flipped panic point. We get Hevo standoff 6 keys for both players. It's a crypto game. Although, admittedly, there's not a whole lot more left to this game. So the question becomes, what ridiculous thing is about to happen? I don't know that I love this play from Claws. Obviously, the Innocuous is still in range. The Murder Wing is going to die. Really? Can you kill this? I guess a snowball. Or that. It doesn't kill the 2.0, but it does kill 4 other keys worth of stuff. That's a pretty cool play. That's a pretty solid boop. Yeah, that, like, I can accept that. That's... I don't know if I can go so far as to say that it completely redeems a crypto game. But it was pretty cool. That was a cool play. I was expecting the Hevo to go on the stim in order to pick the Murder Wing, and you just take the free shots on Hevo 2.0. But that was a way better sequence. So we get the waiting game here. I get the feeling that this Gravedigger is going to break this block and Boom is going to get in for a lot of value. It's kind of where I expect this to go. Yep. Boom! That's a lot of keys that are now cooked. Oh, by the way, Shinra still had 5 keys left. Still had all these. And then there were 2. Now, Claws can, of course, at least try... Well, they're not even going to go for it. I was going to say, like, they can try and take down the Hevo, but then you're just walking into the Lion's Den here. Like, is there enough damage? There's probably enough damage to kill this Evo. You do this, you can leap, this kills this, and then Evo comes in, plus snowball hit. Might not even need all of that. Well played, Shinra. Well played. There were actually a couple cool plays. In fact, 2 cool plays in that game, despite it being on crypto, but minus 11 billion Texas with $$ points because crypto. Just kidding. GG, Shinra. GG. Those were some pretty cool plays. I mean, quite clearly, Claws was going for the undead event, at least for the majority of that game. Definitely a weird opener. Like, is the Numbskull opener a thing? Vendi Bitcoin, God help us. No. No. I have no reason to suspect that they would go bullshit currency. But if they did, I would drop the game. Not even kidding, Chad. I'm not trolling. I want to use Numbskull more, to be honest. I just never feel like Numbskull is valuable. Gonzo Bonzo Primate number 9 NFT. I mean, it would fit with that whole trend for a while, right? I would still quit the game. What was I doing? Numbskull. I don't know. Numbskull and Slayer for me are kind of in the same boat where it's just... By the time you can get them in range for them to be salient, you're already on the defensive because you were trying to recover the ground that was lost because you didn't put a regular 1 key on the board. And at that stage, your opponent can probably just walk away from them most of the time. Now, that isn't to say that they're completely useless. We've definitely observed games where Numbskull was able to pin people in, or you corral your opponent in other ways, and then all of a sudden Numbskull gets a big connection, and it's able to help turn a game around or push a game in your favor. But realistically, I just don't... I don't know. I've never been a fan of these two. I've never really been a fan. I mean, I like all of the art and all of the other effects surrounding Numbskull, but I'm not a fan of the actual phobie. Chat, we're getting longer games tonight. We got an Urk game, 45 turns on Morbidity. Staring contest, but looks like they blinked first. All right, are we going to see Blinky? So now that we've had this for several weeks, Chad, do you have a favorite map from the new update? Do you have a least favorite map from the new update? I've not played a lot of games on this map. We have seen it chosen a number of times for different tournaments, which is kind of cool. And I do like pretty much all of them, I think. There's some that I don't quite have a Yes, actually, spoiler alert, it didn't live to participate in the staring contest. Ah, gotcha. I like this map, but pretty hard to play as player 2. Do you think this is better or worse than... Not Coin to me. What's the other one? Phasmophobia. Do you think it's better or worse than Phasmophobia going second? Because Phasmophobia, by the way, this is like, it's 4-1. Well, it was 4-1. Now it's 4-3. Probably all good. I particularly like Dearly Departed and Phasmophobia. So wait, weren't you saying that you... am I thinking of the wrong map? Phasmophobia is the other graveyard-themed map that's really hard to go second on, isn't it? All the new maps seem kind of meh to me. They're still weird to play on with the conveyor tiles, and pretty much every single one is a type map, and I hate type maps. Phasmophobia, I don't think is that tight. I haven't figured out how to play on Coin to me or Morbidity at all. This map, I think, is one of the better uses, not that there are that many, but one of the better uses of the conveyor tiles. Like, on... I think it's Dearly Departed. Is Dearly Departed the one with the conveyor tiles along the top? Kind of like the Pyro Abyss lava tiles, but with conveyors. That one feels like the conveyor tiles are just annoying and less meaningful, but I could be wrong. Had a couple games on as player 1 on Morbidity today and just started getting a feel for it. Fair. All right, so we get the pick here on the cat. Back to the actual game. Oh, we get a pick here on Snowball. That doesn't feel good. Urk electing to put that Motherlode into play. I don't know that I love the Boomer play initially. However, Boomer is probably the only phobie that would have gotten here and lived to get back out again and then ultimately die. But Bad Guy does not have a 1 key to immediately replace. So we have a 4-1, or 4-3 rather, soon to be 5-2 panic point advantage. Boomer Cat points 3 times. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the advantage there because it's so tanky. Boomer is better to me than Numbskull or Slayer, but I'm still not a huge fan because it can't interact with the board most of the time. But the defined uses to me for Boomer are much more readily available. Like, you will have way more common scenarios where Boomer is valuable than you will with the other phobies, in my opinion, anyway. All right, so we get a Tractor supplementing the forces. Bad Guy popping out a couple 1 keys to try and get a 1-up here on our hero. But with the panic point advantage still in our hero's favor, Bad Guy still has to send something down here, which the Attractor is always going to threaten, hey, that thing's just dead. So Bad Guy with 13 keys available, our hero with 14. Well, 18 total still floating around for Bad Guy. This is... oh, there's the Blinky. The aforementioned Blinky that doesn't make it, and I can kind of see why. This is really one where we need to pin the... like, zoom out, pin the camera. Let me see the whole board. Another thing that I've talked about for a long time that I would like from a UI perspective is to add grid lines to the tiles for all of the occupiable tiles. Most of the time, like 99 times out of 100, it's readily apparent where things are or aren't. But every once in a while, it's like, it would be nice to be able to differentiate. It doesn't have to be major. You can just have like subtle lines. You can kind of see them here, but I'd like to have it a little more defined. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And then sometimes on the fringe on these maps, there's like a tile that you can easily just check the mirrored tile on the other side where it should be, and it's like, oh, well, it's clearly not an occupiable space, but sometimes it isn't that obvious. This is a great play, also. I want to repeat this. So this is a great play. You get a little push into a little bit of pull. And it's notable here because you're going to get bees to follow it up into the big old motherload, big old dumpy. Pop, pop goes their team. Well, part of their team. And the other part is pretty heavily damaged. That was a pretty cool sequence. Admittedly, it was a lot of effort to kill Ginsting, but, like, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool play. Bad guy going to get some retaliation damage here, presumably a pick here on this murder wing. But now our hero has all of their stuff kind of front-loaded. They can probably pick off Blinky and just back off. Erratic getting added to the team. 3 keys to 2 remaining. Still not even halfway through this game, chat. Yep. Looks like a quick Blinky pick. Bye-bye and good night. This whole time, by the way, panic point advantage hero. Bad guy still has yet to claim this bottom panic point. Now, they could be fighting, once again, for the center one to try and flip it back and forth, but it was this or a 51-turn game. I spared everyone this time. It's a 6-turn difference. We're not talking about a whole lot. Bachelor, the penultimate phobie. Does Urk pushing for additional panic points, and then it's Unicorn and Contortio. Bad guy's in a rough spot because all of a sudden, Attractor's now active again. Bad guy, are you really going to get caught by this twice? I guess the mother load is not in range, so, like, you can't push as much damage here. But for a second, for a brief moment in time, I was like, is this really happening? Alright, we get the dimensional block. Contortio gonna come in, and now bad guy's, like, really screwed. Bad guy's down 2 panic points at this stage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. You know, you need 2 panic points to flip it back in your favor. They can claim this one somewhat trivially. Because you can't necessarily get the easy yoink kill here, because the Attractor will end up getting exposed due to the conveyors. But at the same time, oh no, never mind. Bad guy still have 1 more key. So bad guy has Henrietta. So they can flip this panic point. I thought they were out of keys. They still have to respect, of course, Hevo 2.0 and Attractor. I think I would have liked to have seen Motherload here, because there is a world where bad guy can come after it. I don't think there's a reality where bad guy can kill it. Because if they move up Erratic onto the center panic point in order to hit Motherload, nothing else other than Jar can hit the Motherload, and then you just annihilate them. If they decide to not engage, or similarly, if they swing the erratic up here somehow, it dies. But if they disengage and they don't fully disengage, you do the same boop yoink into motherlode trick and annihilate them. Point is, I think you could have been a little more aggressive at different points, Urk, once you had all your cooldowns back, which you obviously have for a number of turns here. Please tell me that it would be so funny if the conveyor belt shifted the traps, and you're literally putting the traps on a conveyor belt. That would actually be hysterical. Just didn't want to risk it. I mean, that's fair. You had a big panic point advantage. You have it's very much your game to lose, so I understand the don't throw thought process. But at this point, now that bad guy has this panic point advantage, you need to commit into them, which can be... I was about to say for a second, like, bad guy, what are you doing? All right, so here's the literal stare down. I mean, I don't blame bad guy. There's no they have an advantage. There's no reason for them to commit in. If they do, they lose. You want to kill the Hematic so bad, I don't blame you. I mean, you're going to have to go for it at some point. Here it is. Boop. And that is how you do it. I think it might have been... I mean, I imagine this dies here, right? Does it? This is 8, almost 9. 29. I guess it's possible that if Daisy was here, it dies. I don't know that Daisy being there matters. Because you can swing it through, but that's not going to help you that much. Oh, they're going to go for the Hevo. Okay. I mean, I get it. I think you're still hosed. Ooh, you get the block here. That's a good defensive play by bad guy, but I don't think it's enough. You certainly kill the cassowary. Or you'll be able to, but do you displace here? I think the displacement, like just the yoink might have been better, because then you splash a little bit of damage. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter, because you're never going to kill the erratic. And I don't think any of these would have actually moved. Like, maybe the erratic ends up here instead. But now, yeah, like, they can't... I don't think they can kill this, and you'll be able to retaliate and just blow up the entirety of their forces, essentially. Well played there, Urk. Definitely jumped out to an early advantage. I didn't love bad guys' phobie choices. I mean, they did get that pick up in the north on the snowball. But, like, what did bad guy do? I guess there's a world where this set of phobies allows you to jump the attractor. But it just felt like they let attractor cook. It's like, all right. You're going to lose eventually. Obviously, the early on push-pull play was really dope. So that set all of this up, realistically. Got him. Mommy wins. GG. Hematic was probably fine. They just didn't preserve it. I prevailed with that Hevo attractor play where I killed the cowbell on Ginsting. Yeah, exactly. The amount of damage you're able to put on it, you know, like you chipped it into range, not even chip, like you just kind of beat the crap out of it, put it into range so that you could clean it up later. And I do think that that was pretty significant. I don't think Hematic's bad, but like, they put themselves in a weird scenario where they were trying to outlast a tractor. And I don't... Yes, there are scenarios where you can, and I guess I can see it from their side where I have erratic. If they come after me, their two most important phobies are mechanical and a tractor and... Well, three. It was Hevo, a tractor, and Motherload. But because of the damage on Hematic, it just didn't matter. It was useless the rest of the game because it was so damaged they never healed. Yeah, exactly. Like, they, at some point, put a healer on the board, sacrifice something. But they churned through their keys and then put themselves in an awkward position where, like I said, they were having a staring match with a tractor, and that thing has like 85 eyes. You're not winning that. GG. Well, actually, Chad, do you think having more eyes would be a disadvantage in a staring contest? Like, there's just more chance for one of them to get itchy and you blank, right? But a tractor has literal glass eyes or whatever special ocular implants that it has. It seems like that gives them an unfair advantage in a staring contest. Love how the answer to electricals is always more mechs. I've talked about this before in the context of Repeller, an Attractor, and an Oculus, and probably a few other mechs. But I wonder if just reducing mech health across the board, not a huge amount, because the whole point is that that's part of their identity, is that they have more health. Like, the electricals, it just doesn't seem worth it putting a mediocre electrical on the board to contest mechs instead of just a good enough phobie that's in... Like, it's useful in all other scenarios, and it's good enough here. The fact that Sparky can't one-shot an Oculus and a Tractor is actually disgusting. That's the main one that comes to mind, Sparky and Ray Chargels. Ray feels like it should be a predator for a Tractor, right? It should be out there, and it should be a threat. And it kind of is, but it assumes that you have Ray Klepto or something, and that you diving with those two isn't going to cause you to lose 11 keys. Like, I mean, yeah, you got their Attractor, but at what cost? I don't know. Ray Gonzo? I don't even know if that's enough damage, is it? It probably is. Like, I'm joking. I really don't think even Sparky should be one-shotting 4+ keys. I get the argument not to. Like, honestly, I do. I do think that most electricals are just bad. But the problem is, unless you... The only thing I can think of is you buff just the electrical damage. So it forces them further, and it doesn't force them into, it further emphasizes their role, but does not make them, oh, now I'm just the plain go-to ranged guy, because not only do I deal better damage and I'm tankier and whatever, I'm also on top of it good at answering mechs. But the problem is that I do get it. If you make Ray able to one-shot anything smaller than him that's mech, doesn't that just invalidate mechs? It's not great. Ray kind of makes sense key cost-wise. It's cheaper than a Tractor, so yeah. Cheaper than a Tractor, so I guess it makes sense, even though I don't agree with it. Sparky's situation just seems disgusting to me. In the game we just had, in the game we just had on, they used Gonzo Boost on Ray to one-shot a tractor. That's worked against me more than once. I mean, that seems reasonable. It seems reasonable. I mean, Gonzo is something that gets used anyway. And I do wonder if the intent, like the actual intent for Cupcake is, hey, I'm going to juice my guy, but not have to invest more keys in Gonzo, and then I just snipe your dude. Although that's realistically worse, because at least you get to keep the Gonzo and can reuse it, whereas the Cupcake is now just gone. Maybe it's fine. I usually say that we should buff those electricals to be able to one-shot them, but in all honesty, I get... How many keys is Cupcake? 2. In all honesty, I get why they don't one-shot it. Like, I really do. It's so close that it's, hey, just splash it, just buff it, just whatever. But it is really frustrating to try and have to dance around all of these things just to do that. It does feel like they could stand for an HP nerf regardless, though, so that if you aren't forced into Gonzo plus unique counterpick, you could just go with, like, more reasonable things. But that does make Ray... Like, this becomes the balance discussion that Karst and I were having offline to a degree. Like, it kind of veers into it, but by improving the overall game health, in my opinion, it would improve the overall game health if we nerfed the HP on Innocuous and Attractor. Not a ton, just a little bit. Just adjust it a little bit so that they're a little bit more fragile so that you can get to them a little bit more readily. I think that might further weaken the current niche phobies such as Ray and Sparky, even though you would think it's a buff because, hey, now they're doing even more damage, but they're still not one-shotting these things if we assume they're not. And if they aren't, then it doesn't matter. Nothing has changed other than, hey, specific levels, like you're way over leveled, so now you one-shot it whereas you wouldn't before. Nothing has changed otherwise. You still require Cupcake. You still require Gonzo. You still require Scritch. Except now those niche phobies are pushed further to the wayside. They are even worse because now your regular phobies that you were going to use anyway now overshadow them to an even larger degree. And this is where it ties into the discussion I was having with Karst, if the goal is to make all of the phobies viable, which there is a statement from one of the devs, I think like either at launch or pre-launch, that they want to balance everything to be equally competitively viable, which personally I think is insane. I legitimately, and this is a digression, but I legitimately don't think that you can have the game be financially viable and do that. Mostly because it would take way too much effort. It would just take a ridiculous amount of effort for something that will not affect a single player in the game. It literally will not affect anyone in the game because the only person that's even close, and I don't even know if they have every phobie, but I assume Hoploy has every phobie. There might be someone like Hoploy running around that isn't near the top of the ladder that we don't know about. They still aren't affected because all of their phobies outclass everyone else's, so they can put whatever they want on the board whenever they want. And they probably win. And it's independent of any particular phobie relationship because it's just more numbers. So right now, and for the foreseeable future, it affects literally no one. It may never affect anyone. The only way that it would affect anyone is if Hoploy joined Fright Night or Monster of the Week and played at level 1 and then had to choose certain counter phobies against someone who had at least close to a full collection so that, like, you can have those different relationships form. Do you think the devs will add more stress levels? It's not impossible, but they've given no indication that they're going to. Hoploy is missing one. Are they? I have no idea. I have legitimately no idea. Like, I guess it's possible, but... I had been breaking out, or I did break out some of the other discussions we've had before into separate videos, but that one was only like 2 minutes, so hopefully people will go back and look at it. So we got another Potenzia game here. This is going back a while because, as you can see, this is only the second game I've ever watched, or even I've played 0 games. This is the only second game I've ever watched on this map, which was a contest winner map, which was implemented incorrectly because one side, either blue or orange, I think it was orange, should have the heart and the vault flipped. But that's neither here nor there for the moment. The notes here are pretty aggressive game on the new map, ending in a finale furioso. Sure. What is this freak of a map? This, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this map, mostly because the map is broken. It's not completely symmetrical with respect to, like, being able to get to things. Because of, like, the way things are tilted, I guess. So I'd be curious how this map plays out. What do we pick here? Oh, that's a cassowary that probably didn't have to die. But it also was unexpected. We're going to get the trade here. Okay, yeah. Never mind. These are all hero panic points. I was going to say, you could just let the bow get pulled up, and then it probably tanks this and whatever comes out of the vault, but you also don't have to do that. Panic points flip. We're getting a Thunder Rocks. Second Thunder Rocks we've seen tonight. The first one didn't work out. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this one didn't work out very well either. Hi, baby. Who's a good girl? Yeah, it's you. You're the good baby. One of these days, chat, I'll get my dog on stream. If I ever get that second camera, like the replacement camera, I'll use the current webcam, and I'll set up a dog cam so that you can see her. Ooh, we get a little microscopic action. Things you didn't expect to see tonight. That's some aggression from Tooth Fairy, who is likely, far and away, the most disgusting new phobie. Yeah, Mike, I mean, Mike seems mediocre. Like, I still don't like microscopic. Wait, what? Okay, that's a better takedown. You will get the poison onto Mike. The movement here... Wait, is this all at level 1? Oh, this must be a Frenemies game. This is all at level 1. I don't know that I like the movement as opposed to body blocking for this. I guess it doesn't matter, because they're probably not going to go after the Mike anyway. They might, only because you could muffin this and save it. Alternatively, they hit this twice, which does result in a dead murder wing. They might just go for that. All right, they decide to secure the microscopic kill, which I don't really agree with. If you kill the murder wing, that's effectively a 4-key takedown because the muffin plus the murder wing. But we ultimately get back to 3-1 hero here. This map will be interesting once it's re-implemented, which I imagine it won't take too long for the devs to re-implement it. Brony! Second Brony we've seen tonight. And Finnegan. With 9 keys available for bad guy. So this is kind of what I'd expected. High 5? What? Okay, so you can get the boop onto the poison here, but I honestly wonder if it would be better to just retreat and send the Brony in and just Brony their whole team. Like, put the Finnegan back here or something. Put the Murder Wing here. Yeah, you put the Murder Wing here. I don't think there's any way to save the bow, because you need the Brony to be here or here, and then you just turn off their whole team. I think I'd like this map a lot more if implemented correctly, so it'd be easier to Heart Rush. Is it significantly easier to Heart Rush if you flip the one side? I mean, I guess a little bit. Wait, this... Oh, because this was... Yeah, I think you needed to... Like, they would claim panic points, but then you could collapse back on them, but at the same time, then you'd only have Murder Wing and... Since Bo would have been bronied, you'd only have Murder Wing and Finnegan damage, so you're not exactly putting an enormous amount of pressure on them. Whereas here, you can play... Like, this line allows Potenza to just constantly boop things off panic points in order to reclaim them and then continue the pressure, because guess what? That guy has, like, no hard health left. This map, whoever said it earlier saying that a lot of these maps are claustrophobic, this one definitely has that feeling of this is a knife fight in a closet. Unfortunately for bad guy, can't claim the panic points and body block out this Bow Mangles. Well played, Potenza. I would not have... I don't know, like, that's a weird finish. The Finnegan and Brony is very weird, but it was very effective, and I could actually kind of see Brony doing stuff like this if you can jump out to that early panic point advantage. Really, the pressure you had on the heart allowed for a lot of potentially different lines, where you can just lean on your opponent, and there's only so much they can do. But, GG. If anything, the Jaws idea could work on these maps. On this map, I mean, yeah, you can basically get anywhere with Jaws and feed the Jaws. The Jaws is in range of being fed and eating their team at the same time. But, as we discussed the other night, I don't know if you can get Jaws to a level where it matters. It certainly matters, but, like, is it going to be enough? Because even if you have, like, a 1400 damage Jaws, let's say, do you have anything else on the board in order to supplement the damage from Jaws? Because you're not one-shotting any turret. I guess maybe an Inoculus, but, like, you're not one-shotting Stabby, you're not one-shotting Bow Mangles, you're not one-shotting Snappy or Bad Side Manners or whatever. So if that's true, and you have nothing else to supplement the damage with, since they weren't sacrificing their team to feed their own Jaws, that means that their turret gets 2 hits, and then the rest of their team eats Jaws alive. Possibly. It's one of those, I'd have to see it in action like, see the setup. It just doesn't feel like Jaws is definitely a threat, but at the same time, I just don't know that it's enough of one. Chat, this is a wild one that I think everybody out there, all the viewers, are going to enjoy. We have a second Karst game tonight. High Five win against Hoploy. I feel like Transaction Decline might be the first map where High Five is core for me as player 2. He's been a regular win condition here. That's a bold statement. You heard it here first, folks. High Five is the new meta. That may or may not be the intro. That'll get people excited. I think the idea for Jaws is to use glass cannons as support, just damage and damage only. But you don't... I don't... So, before we get into the game, like... To get Jaws to, like, 14 to 1700 damage... I mean, it's going to depend on levels. So, like, assume scaling here. Like, whatever the appropriate... Like, to make it a sizable threat, it's 8 keys. 5 for Jaws, 2 for Wiggy, 1 for AWOL. Maybe Gesundheit instead of Wiggy or whatever. Like, you get the idea. What are you doing in the meantime? Like, if it's a big map, all right, you're getting 5 keys a turn, but that still puts you 3 keys behind your opponent. Because you had to sit there and eat them, and the tempo of keeping Jaws in range to be fed. You could jump through some hoops to make it less impactful. On a small map, that's 3 turns of nothing. And if we're talking like the map we were just looking at, if your opponent just marches bow mangles up there, you're not killing the bow with Jaws. And the bow now has potentially claimed like 2 panic points. Now, you could start out AWOL into Jaws, into Wiggy, and then another 1 key or something like that. And then you're not, like, a million miles behind. But it's another one that I'm going to have to physically draw up to try and see, because right now, I mean, part of it's... I could fall asleep at my keyboard right now, chat, or be awake for another 4 days straight because God knows what's going on with my sleep schedule. But I just can't visualize it right now. Maybe Jaws plus Puller, maybe Heartbreaker against big HP things like Blastodozer or 3.0 would be deadly. But is that better than just Erratic or whatever? I mean, it's a little bit more damage. Be deadly if you get it right in front of Jaws double shot. I feel like we're in magical Christmas land now. It really does feel like we're just asking for everything to fall into place. Which, I mean, maybe it's a counterpick phobie, and therefore it will. I don't know. But as far as this game goes, we're actually getting Spud versus Innocuous and a smattering of 1 keys, including Sockassin. Innocuous in a triple 1 key opener should be noted. Yeah, that's exactly where we were going with that. Or I was beginning to go with it, because obviously distracted by all the stuff we were saying. The early Innocuous makes sense here. Like, the Innocuous can cover multiple panic points. I mean, from this spot, it covers all 3. The spam 1 keys is the weird part, where I'm not real clear on why that happened, other than, hey, we can spend all day fighting over panic points. It does, so here's an aspect of it, and I wonder if Karst is trying to do this. This is also cute, by the way, like the sort of retreat. It's not going to survive, but you do get the Sockassin connection, which at this level is a 471 poison. Like, that's a lot of poison. I have to wonder if the intent here is similar to the turret plan, like old turret plan, where it's you get Stabby online on turn 1, and then you just stall the game out until you get your 9 key, whatever, your game ender. Is the plan here kind of that, but instead of using stabby and bow, it's innocuous and a ton of 1 keys. I go Spud turn 2 to cover 2 panic points sometimes. I could see that. Like, Spud definitely can get some work put in. Or put in some work, rather, on this map. So triple panic points going the other way. Now, one of the interesting things here... This is like a tighter Teen Spirit with conveyors and a spa. Yeah. Kinda. I think that the fact that the hearts are so close is the biggest thing. Like, I don't think you can understate how easy it is to get access. Well, I guess it's not easy, but how much easier it is to get access to your opponent's heart than it is on many other maps. So in the meantime here, we're actually getting a Quagmire coming down. Hoploy with 8 keys going for Bluelian. Alright, so this will remove the poison. Not maxed out on Phobies, although Karst is. They won't be for long. You hate the heart placements? I actually love it on this map. I kind of want to see a map where, like, the hearts are both literally in the center of the map right next to each other. Or vertically. So Hoploy vacates, allowing the Quagmire to get in, claim this point, and, of course, heal up, and just walk away. I doubt we're going to see an invade. I guess it's not impossible, but no, we're going to see it back off. Triple panic points going the other way. Cowbell. I was expecting the high 5 to come down sooner. It makes sense that it did not, but I was kind of expecting it to come down sooner. We haven't seen a ton of this map, but just to call back to what DT had pointed out, the triple 1 key opener has now exploded into a flood, a sea of 1 keys from both players. I mean, this is the kind of thing you usually see in lower stress level games, where it's just tons of things are dying left and right. And not usually something you see from higher ranked players, but maybe this is the norm here. All right, we get Puff out of Hoploy. 7 keys for Karst, 10 total remaining. Puff, of course, similar to Crypto, is a big threat here because you can place it here to Blom through and get some heart damage. Both players, due to trading triple panic point advantages back and forth, able to get some serious work done here. But instead of the Blom, we're just going to get a regular attack. 10 keys from Karst here. Panic points flipping in favor of Hoploy. By the way, how big is this? That is a big Bluelian. Innocuous on this map is so annoying. Innocuous on every map is annoying. Innocuous, good phobie. Bad Omen. Not something we see all the time. But I really think we should. It's just, I think most people just don't have it. It's another ultra rare. It's yet another ultra rare. Karst actually man-fighting the Bluelian, which is a little surprising given the amount of damage that is potentially represented here. I mean, it's down to 1,200 health already. It took a beating. But it does have significant damage output of its own. So you could get a Blom, 2 hits, and a Spud hit. That's probably not enough to kill it, and then you lose your Bluelian. But, I mean, you can put a hurt on it. And instead, it's the high 5 walking all the way up, getting in Puff's face. The counter Bad Omen, by the way. Pop. So, the Bad Omen AoE here, 522 damage. Like, that's a significant power down. Wait, what? I was looking at the wrong thing. 522 is its damage output. It's only a 408 power down, which is also still significant. That means that the combination of these cannot kill Bad Omen. Interestingly enough, we don't get a Blom here. out of Hoploy, which seems odd. Also, Hoploy has now on multiple occasions, this is at least twice in this game, given up this panic point by retreating away. Now, in the first instance, maybe it made sense, but here, like, I guess the assumption is Karst is going to move forward and therefore only get a single hit onto this cassowary. 700, 900. But they could just take a double hit here and kill the cassowary. We'll see what Karst does. Nope, it's going to be the repositioning. Slapping the crap out of Bad Omen, but like I said, I don't think this is enough damage. I mean, I think it might have been better to leave the cassowary here. That prevents damage because you're just not taking face damage from the high five, which I don't think there's enough damage here to kill this thing. Just double checking. But no, there's not enough damage there to actually take it down. I5, chat. I mean, it's not like it was the only factor, but it's certainly... Like, there aren't a lot of phobies that would have represented 2,600 plus damage on the heart in the attacks that it got. Well, actually, it got 3 attacks, so even more. There aren't a lot of phobies that would have represented that much damage. Now, I think that, again, similar to the previous Karst game against Hoploy, I think that there were things that Hoploy could have cleaned up. You know, for example, if you had just left the cassowary there, you might be able to clean up the rest of Karst's forces and then defend the high five. Clearly, the high five kills the cassowary and then claims that panic point. But in the meantime, maybe you kill everything else and then you can just defend the heart. Maybe you can't. Maybe there just isn't enough damage at that point and the game was over anyway. Because remember, the Blulian was about to die. Absolutely would have died in a single hit. The other phobies maybe didn't have the damage output to actually close it out. I think the opener from Karst was very interesting, and I'm excited to see this play out more, to see how people respond. Let's say that you... Like, I want to know whether Karst goes lots of 1 keys into high five, or is it adapting and then, okay, well, I need to keep 8 keys available so I can high five at the end? Because it does sound like high five is Karst's go-to play here, but is high five... Like, what is the surrounding entourage for high five usually? That's what I'm curious about. But either way, GG Karst. And GG Hoploy. All right, last game for the evening, chat. Somebody's got to remind me to update the build order stuff. Oh, man, everybody with the long games tonight. It has been a series of long games. We're back with Shinra here on Biff's Room. Jeeves and a Tractor gaming note. The game was over at turn 28, but I decided to get back at him for what he did to others, delaying and running the clock. Feel free to stop watching past that point. All right, well, we'll take a look. I don't truthfully take notice of that sort of thing when people do that to me, or used to. The times that it sticks in my craw, as one might say, is when people BM at the end of the game, which honestly, and like, knock on wood, the Phobies community is generally pretty good about. They're not really jerk-offs. There's no way to penalize it, so if people were to do it, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do. Other than, you know, if somebody does it all the time, maybe the devs reprimand them in some way, but I don't know. Interesting, out of bad guy, we get an unbearable. We saw a couple of those tonight. And we get an attractor, the terror of the small maps. Honestly, I think bad guy is kind of well positioned given they have 6 keys to respond to address the attractor. Because right now, our hero doesn't have a ton of damage. So it is possible for bad guy to, like, bully our hero out here. Do you have enough damage to kill this? Because this is a great play. Getting scam calls, chat. I don't know if you can hear that. So this is a great play. I want to go look at this again. So bad guy was really greedy with this. This single hit, there's like no reason for this. You don't... Well, there's not no reason. There's not no reason. But I don't think a single hit to lose your unbearable is worth it. For quite obvious reasons. While the notes indicated that the game was over, like, almost 20 turns from now, you could argue this is the game. Also, notably, this cat protects Shinra's unicorn. You can't... Oh, wait. No, this didn't die? Oh, no! I mean, it's going to die, but, like, this is way worse. I don't think Trazgo can really punish this. So, Jar obviously pops this. But it forces them into a particular play. They're not allowed to just, oh, you get the hits here for freezies. But notably, the Corn lives. We're clearly going to get a takedown here. Pop goes the unbearable. We actually get a Clinico to heal. Okay. I can appreciate not wanting to take the splash, but there shouldn't be another trap. 479, so that would be 8. So, like, this kills here. This moves up and hits here. It's the Corn. Corn hits twice. You kill their Corn. They kill your Corn and your Gravedigger. So you're left with a 3-key and a tractor versus erratic Jar 3-key. Yeah, this is a better line. I think this is better. Sorry, I needed to walk through it to kind of see it. So bad guy presumably placed a trap somewhere here. But our hero just needs to get set up. They do have a panic point advantage, although that won't be long for this world because of the Bachelor. Bad guy, normally I would say you don't want Bachelor in this scenario because Bachelor is the 1 key out of the core 1 keys that dies to the trap. Here it wouldn't, actually. 665 to 680. But on level, Bachelor gets eaten by a unicorn trap. Yep, we get a little Giraffula action going on. That's why normally I would not say that I like Bachelor, but here it's 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. So we get Steve's as the final phobie into 8 keys from bad guy and an open slot. It's entirely possible, like, boss comes down and you go, oh my god, I hate myself, but Maybe not. This feels like it's inviting bad guy to get that jar sniped. I have no idea why Venus is coming out. I guess as a counter trapper. So that way you can try and set off the traps. Because, like, you do this, and now you just kill the jar. That seemed wasteful. Like, again, this is the unbearable play all over again. Or am I overstating this, chat? It feels like the unbearable play all over again. Admittedly, there's a little bit of damage that was taken. And Innocuous. Innocuous into, I don't know. This kind of felt like bad guy's game to lose to a degree. Maybe not. I think it was in bad guy's favor a little bit. But at this point, our hero kind of has complete control of this game. You do ultimately need to reclaim that panic point, yes. But the fact that our hero can be this ballsy because they just don't fear anything from bad guy? Now, bad guy knows there's not going to be a freeze trap anywhere here. But, like, is this erratic dead? This might be a dead erratic. Oh, excuse me. This might be a dead erratic. And I think you can body block for the attractor even with all of this. So yeah, you pull these forward. You sink a bunch of attacks in. This is kind of 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. I mean, you could have sent the Gravedigger in, I guess, the other way, but maybe this is more efficient. But either way, that's a dead erratic and a dead Innocuous. Bad guy's left with a couple trappers and Ted. Clinico is going to live, which means the attractor should never die, and you will just outrange them and or freeze them forever. On top of the fact that Steve's is going to live. I think the note said turn 26, but or the game was over turn 28. This game was over on turn 21. Maybe earlier. Why did they run? I don't know. Sure. Why do this to them? That was in the notes. Allegedly, per Shinra, bad guy here is notorious for doing things like this to other people. So basically, they just permafreeze and dance around the Ted. And then eventually this happens. GG. Yeah, that was weird because, like, there were at least 3 points where I think that bad guy sort of threw. Glasgow has been BMing people many times. This is like revenge. You live by the BM. You apparently lose by the BM. It happens. It happens. I don't like to counter BM. The cryo capsule will unfreeze Ted when he finds a way to resurrect him again. Ironically, zombies and cryotubes in the book series that I always talk about, the Locked Tomb. Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, Nona the Ninth, and soon to be Electo the Ninth. Very good books. Very anxious to get the ending, but we'll see. Either way, GG Shinra, or I guess it's definitely a game. I don't know if it's a good game, given the situation, but it is what it is. So I finally got around to watching Jurassic World Dominion. I finally watched all the Jurassic Park movies in a series. I have to say, it's actually not great. In 6 movies, they managed to make 1.5 decent films. I didn't mind Jurassic World and the original Jurassic Park. I didn't really care for any of the other ones. I did not see Dominion or the sequel to Jurassic World, whatever the other one is. I don't know why they got... I did not read all of the books. So I don't know why they got so far away from the books based on what people have told me, but Jurassic Park and Jurassic World are by far the best in the series. I mean, they are very reasonable action movies, although from what I understand of the way everything's portrayed in Jurassic Park is it's way less dystopian than the way the books portray it. The books portray it as, like, it is super dystopian the way Hammond and the rest of the operation runs. And that there are way more issues with, like, the dinosaurs are like, constantly escaping. And they're just not telling people. Now, I don't know if how that would relate to Jurassic World. I don't know if that's, like a completely unrelated story to things, but allegedly Dominion is like closer, and this is again like from watching videos and other people talk about it, so I don't know, but allegedly Dominion is much closer than I think it was Jurassic Park 3 was to things getting on the mainland. But also in the books, things on the mainland happened like in the original book, and it was just like, yeah, that's why he even went out to get these people to bless the park, because there were compies just ravaging human settlements, like cities and villages and whatever, on the mainland. As opposed to a T-Rex rampaging through San Diego or whatever the hell it was in Jurassic Park 3. I don't know. I don't mind. I didn't mind. Like, I like Jurassic Park. I like the first Jurassic World, and I've never seen the others, so I can't really speak to the other ones too much, other than as I was just doing, I guess. I never got around to reading the original Jurassic Park. I probably should. Maybe I'll get it on audiobook or something. The same, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind watching them. Like, I'm not opposed to watching them. I just never have. I'm not a big movie person anyway. I don't watch movies. It takes a, like, I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie 2 weeks ago or whatever. And I've now watched it like 5 times for other reasons. It's like I watched it and then I said, hey, I watched this movie. It was pretty good. And everybody's like, oh, well, I want to watch it too. And then we sat there and watched it a whole bunch of times. And then like the next person's like, I want to watch it. But I have a list on over by my desk of movies that I want to watch and shows I want to watch because I forget. And I still want to watch, like, this is kind of digressing a lot, but like A Quiet Place, that horror movie from, I don't know, like 7 years ago now, probably. Still haven't seen that because it's not streaming anywhere. It's like on Paramount Plus or some shit. I don't know. There's a bunch of movies like that I don't know. I get antsy watching movies. I need to be more actively engaged. That's why I play games. Or when I'm reading, like if I'm actually reading as opposed to an audiobook, which obviously I'm doing other stuff when I'm doing that. If I'm reading, I feel more engaged because I have to like physically hold it and look at it. I can't do something else at the same time. Whereas when I'm watching a movie, I could listen to the movie and most of the time I know what's going on just from the dialogue, right? And some idea of what the premise of the movie is. Or I could watch it and like other stuff, or I'll get up and I'll start cleaning or doing whatever. Like, oh, I forgot I have to do the dishes. Let me go do the dishes and I'll listen to it in the other room, and then all of a sudden I miss the whole movie. So the musical references in the Mario movie are great. It's too bad they used Take On Me instead of the original composition they made for that scene. What was the original one? But yeah, the references in the movie were great. I liked that the movie just kept moving. They could have easily dragged out, you know, the beginning scene. I actually started to cringe in the first scene before they go to the Mushroom Kingdom and they're fixing that couple's bathroom, like the sink or whatever. They could have dragged that out to like 10 jobs, you know what I mean? And in old movies or shows, they would have done that cat and mouse game where the Wrecking Crews guy, which by the way, also another great reference, the Wrecking Crew guy would have like shown up and just bullied them relentlessly for like 45 minutes. And that would have been something that would have happened in a movie in the 80s and 90s. And they just, nope, it's one scene and then it's done. Like, you get the point, get on with the story. They use the DK country theme? Oh, that would have been cool. That would have been cool. I wonder why they changed it. Somebody higher up probably said, well, we got the rights to this. Chat, I said I was going to finish early tonight, and we're like 8 minutes early. I'm going to close up shop. We'll be back tomorrow for Variety. Most likely Variety. I don't know. I'll have to think about it if I can stay awake. I am going to miss, most likely, streaming Friday, which means that Monster of the Week is either going to happen without a stream, or it's going to have to happen Saturday night. And that's going to be contingent on factors that I'm not going to know until later in the week. I plan on running Monster of the Week either way. It will happen. It's going to be a debate between whether it's Friday night with no stream or Saturday night possibly with stream, sort of thing. So that's the story as we go. I do have a tentative date that has been pseudo-approved by the devs for the next Fright Night. More details to come. But that is coming up very quickly, we'll put it that way. Like, I might already have to get that out, like, tomorrow, maybe. Let's just say look for details about Fright Night maybe tomorrow. It's just, as soon as it's done, it's right back in again. It's funny. Even though it's a once-a-month thing, it's like, got to keep the turnover. But anyway, that's going to do it for tonight. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.